Hello, Dawgpound South campers. This is the Cleveland Browns Dawgpound South podcast, part of the Fanatical Elves Network, part of the Fans First Sports Network. I'm your host, Steve Gill. Things have gotten to a point with the Cleveland Browns where it's just ridiculous. I'll start with the play on the field. You cannot be a fan of Kevin Stefanski if you want to, but the players have to execute what's called. It baffles my mind that a team that has got very good coaches starts the game with a 100-yard kickoff return for a touchdown against them. Now, it boggles the mind. The players just are not doing their jobs. So now we enter an era or a portion of the season where the team has to figure out what they're going to do moving forward. I don't expect a wholesale trading of players like I maintained. Greg Newsome has value and a contract that can be traded away. Zadarius Smith does as well. What is really curious is for 2 straight weeks in a row, Quentin Jefferson has been a healthy scratch. That might tell me that Andrew Berry might consider trading Quentin Jefferson, who it just hasn't worked out. Trade him to a team that's, in a playoff run, which, again, like I explained on Saturday, is what GMs do to stay in good favor of agents, because you want free agents to come to Cleveland. You want to build the roster around draft picks, veterans, and the one-year deals. That's what makes a competitive roster. So I could see them moving on from him. Myles Garrett isn't going anywhere, no matter what everybody says. The Greg Newsome thing, you heard Green Bay might be involved, and I don't know about that. As for Zadarius Smith, it sounds like that Detroit, that they've had phone calls and they're not getting what they want for him. So Andrew Berry has a price, and he's going to stick to it. So, as for the game yesterday, I believe there were 10 penalties for 80 yards. This is ridiculous. I mean, this is totally ridiculous. You can blame the position coaches, you can blame the players, but it just nobody has on offense. Nobody has their head in the game. The defense played great the first half, but then, like every other game, they're on the field too long. If you can't muster up an offensive drive, the defense stays on the field. I see a lot of people complaining about Jedwells, and believe me, he is not the answer. That's why I wanted the Browns to draft a left tackle this year to replace him and James Hudson and move on from that failed draft pick. You can say he picked the wrong one, but picking tackles in your first draft as a GM is a crapshoot. But I go back and look at that play where DTR was obviously that was roughing the passer, but and he threw an illegal pass, and everybody posts that Wills just let the guy go by, but you can see somebody screwed up the line call, whether it's Wills or the guard next to him, because you can see he was looking like, hey, you're supposed to help with this. So that's where the problem lies. I mean, this offensive line is killing this team. Now, would it help if they got the ball out quicker? Yes, it would help. So now we have to move forward with a new quarterback. So let's take a break. So now you're going to find out what the Browns want to do. Do they want to win some games, or do they want to develop talent and find out what they have? If DTR starts, and there's no certainty he's going to start next week against Baltimore or this week against Baltimore because of his injury, he's not even sure. So moving forward, if you want to win some games, you start Jameis Winston. That's the thing. If you want to see what you have before you go into next season, you start DTR. That's just the way it's going to be. It's, to me, this season is pretty much gone. It's, you watch a game and 12 seconds in, they're already down 7-0. You're kind of like, now I've got to sit through the rest of this. So you're sitting there wondering what you're going to do, what this team is going to do. And right now they need to have some kind of plan. And I guarantee you they do plan for next year. So now, finally, I know I live in Nashville, Tennessee. I don't buy season tickets. I don't pay for parking. I don't take the time and energy to go downtown and go to the games because I don't live there. So I understand fans who have to spend a fortune, and it is a fortune, to attend games. Yes, you have the right to boo the players, but you don't have the right to cheer when a player gets hurt. Sorry, you don't. There's no free speech. It's like yelling fire in a crowded theater. That is not covered. It's a bad optic. It's a bad optic for a team that fans have already gotten bad optics from. If you notice my Twitter, and yes, I know it's called X, but that's a stupid name, is C-Town Thug. I took that when I used to call into local sports talk radio shows in Nashville as my handle when you call in. Then they knew who I was. I worked as a baseball analyst for 2.5 years on the radio station I would always call into, but they knew who I was. So it wasn't like I'm hiding. But I did that after Bottlegate. And I did it as kind of like, well, the way the NFL had treated the Browns up to that point had been totally unfair with the stupid changing of the rules for expansion draft from when Carolina and Jacksonville came in to the crap that the Browns got stuck with. It was frustration leading from Art Modell leaving the team, taking it to Baltimore. It was the frustration from the NFL, who really didn't help, forced the new owners, first to find new owners quickly and to build the stadium too fast. That's why you have a new dome stadium in Brook Park, is because the current stadium was built too fast. But they had to do it to get a team to start playing in 1999. So I understand that. I don't condone it. If I was in that stadium, I wouldn't have thrown anything on the field. I would have just been very, very pissed. But to boo someone, fine. To cheer when someone gets hurt is just not right. It just doesn't sit right. And I understand people are saying, are yelling at the players for standing, for chastising the fans for cheering the fact that Deshaun Watson got hurt. But look, they see themselves as teammates. They know that at any given moment, they could have a career-ending injury or a career-altering injury or a life-altering injury. This is a violent sport. And I understand why they stood up for their teammate, because they're teammates. They wear the same uniform. They want to give you victories so you are happy. They don't want you to boo when a player gets I mean, to cheer when a player gets hurt, to eat, if it's an opposing player as well. So, and to sit here and say that it didn't happen, it happened. You could hear it. I was very glad CBS took an extended commercial break if you were watching on TV, but it's this whole social media world that we live in now is just ridiculous. So what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson? Well, they took out an insurance policy. Teams do it. Miami did it with Tua. It was for, according to Over the Cap, which I trust more than any other cap website. It was about $14.5 million. And according to Over the Cap, they'll get $7 million cap relief from his salary. Now, moving forward, I know a lot of people are putting out there that Kirk Cousins came back from the same injury. Kirk Cousins, Deshaun Watson, two different style quarterbacking. It's going to take Deshaun Watson longer to get over this, have surgery, fix it. It's going to take him longer. He's not leaving this team. I've told you this. The only time they can get rid of this contract is the beginning of the league year in 2026. You can make him a post-June 1st cut, and you can spread the dead cap of $92 million over 2 years, 2026 and 2027. That would be $46 million. This is basically what Denver Broncos did with Russell Wilson. They did it as June 1st. They spread out the dead cap between this year and next year. So that is the only time you're going to get rid of Deshaun Watson, unless he retires. Now, if he retires, I have no idea what the cap ramifications are yet. I'm sure I'm going to find out this week. But he is due this money. He is due $92 million, and he is going to want that money. And the union that represent him is going to tell him to take it. It is not a good look for a player to give a team a giant discount. This is the way the world works in professional sports. Unions back players to get the most money for other players. So, I mean, look at the quarterback contract since Deshaun Watson's contract. He's now like the 9th highest paid. I mean, teams are afraid of losing their franchise quarterback. So, game sucked. They showed a little life. DTR not ready. Hopefully he'll be ready to play this week. I doubt it. So it's going to be Jameis Winston against Baltimore. Whew, man, that game could get ugly quick. But I'm going to hold out hope that the team shows improvement. They get rid of these stupid penalties that just are killing them. And this coaching staff finds some way to turn this around. And finally, I'll end with this. Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry aren't going anywhere. So you can forget about that. You can call for them getting fired. They're not going anywhere. Jimmy's going to give them another year in 2025. And if this same thing happens next year, then you can talk about replacing them. But way too early for that. So thanks for joining me here on the Cleveland Browns Dawgpound South podcast, part of the Fanatical Elves Network, part of the Fans First Sports Network. Hopefully there's better days ahead, Browns fans. Thanks for watching, listening, subscribing, and following us here at the Fanatical Elves Network. Like I said, we're just Browns fans like you. We're as passionate as you. But this is going to be a long year. So everybody get ready for it. Thanks for joining. Have a great day. And as always, go Browns.